Well, if Mike Kafka doesn't take the Saints job, there are rumors around Giants camp that Dable is being pressured into giving Kafka back the reins to call plays. In case you were wondering how that dumpster fire is going at this time, my God, the Saints. People, in my opinion, the reason that no one wants the Saints job is because their GM has put them in perpetual cap hell for the last decade, and they've been doing all these financial gymnastics that are really hard to get any new players on the team. They have to draft extraordinarily well just to keep up, and they've done a good job with it. It's kind of amazing that they haven't bottomed out, despite the fact that they're always like the number one team in debt going into the cap every year. They somehow figure it out. It's some kind of voodoo economics, as former President H.W. Bush once said. And I just think that this job is not what people want. It's going to be another one of those coaches that's just happy to take a job and put it on the resume.
Yeah, I don't think Kafka is going to get this job. I think they already were flying out this week to go see what Kellen Moore was up to, offer him a job. He'll probably take it the day after the Super Bowl. Honestly, the cap space in St. Louis or down there is at the Saints is terrible, and it's not going to be obtainable to win. So Kellen Moore's going to go there for 1-2 years, get fired. He'll find somebody else, hopefully draft a quarterback in that time, and go from there. As far as like Joe Brady, McCarthy, all those guys, Cliff Kingsbury, they didn't want to take the Saints job. McCarthy can go on NFL Network, talk for a year, get paid just as much, and then find a well-deserved job next year. Because I think the job he wanted was the Chicago Bears. And once Joe Brady said he was in, he's like, they didn't even want to interview anybody else. They had their guy, and that was that. But if they wouldn't have got their guy, then they would have moved on, and McCarthy probably would have taken that Chicago job. So they're just
waiting. He wanted the Jacksonville one too after Bulky got fired.
You know, it'll be really cool if Kyle Shanahan gets fired next year because they still can't get over the hump, and Mike McCarthy gets hired to his dream job over there, because that's where he was pretty much raised as a coach, over there in San Francisco. So wouldn't you like to see that? I know you're shaking your head, but why not Mike McCarthy? He built his career there as a young coach, and why not end his career there with the 49ers?
Aaron Rodgers plays one more year in San Francisco.
I mean, that's his dream job. It's terrible. What has Kyle Shanahan done for you? 2 Super Bowl appearances and lose against the KC Chiefs. He's done nothing for you. He's a loser.
Jim Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, they've all been the same. They keep him because they win.
The only reason why Jim Harbaugh lost that
John Harbaugh. I mean, all those guys, they all go in the playoffs. They all lose to the Chiefs or somebody else. And Casey's been there 4 out of the last 5 years?
5 of 6.
Like everybody's doing that. So it's not like the 49ers make it to the Super Bowl and losing KC is different than anybody else. So you're gonna cut a guy that wins games is the opposite guy.
Yes. Mike McCarthy was cut and he won. What are you talking about?
He didn't win this year.
He's a winner. The guy went over there to the Cowboys and was a 10-win every single season, but this year, and he had no
12-5 actually.
Yeah, I'm
3 years in a row.
And guess what? He lost to Kyle Shanahan.
What?
Both years. He lost to Kyle Shanahan both years.
Oh my God. He lost against Kyle Shanahan because the 49ers have a better built team over there. That's why. They have a better defense, which, by the way, Jim Harbaugh helped to build. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. You're going to tell me Mike McCarthy isn't a better fit over there right now than Kyle Shanahan? Kyle Shanahan's never won. Mike McCarthy's won one. What are you talking about? You want a Super Bowl champion. If Mike McCarthy's there, they're a contender next year. If Mike McCarthy went to the 49ers, I would
put Shanahan's there. They're a contender next year.
They're not contending nothing next year. You're going to see. They're getting older, buddy. They're getting older. They're not the same.
That's fine. Their defense is going to be better with Robert Saleh. And they're going to
be Robert Saleh. You got it. Bambi. You're gonna bet on Bambi?
I will.
All right.
As a defensive coordinator.
Okay. We'll come back to this next year.
Story.
We'll come back to this. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, when the season starts, we'll come back to this. Because I don't think Bambi. I like Robert Saleh did help the Jets, but even if you look at his numbers, everybody was looking at Ulbricht's numbers when Robert Saleh left. honestly, they're almost identical. I think anybody could have coached that defense, honestly. So I think Fish could have coached that defense.
All right. So I guess the real competition will be the 49ers defense versus the Falcons defense, now led by Jeff Ulbrich.
Yeah, that's all right.
There you go.
Who will prevail?
That's all right.